time again for another 5 minutes of free advice from 7 Generation Games, games that make you smarter. Today's topic is envy. And envy is one of the stupider of the 7 deadly sins because it's based on ignorance. People spend their time being jealous of someone who has it so good when, for all they know, that person is dying of cancer. You really never know. For example, there could be an entire another person in this room behind me. Oh, wait. In fact, there is because Ava's spending the night. So that's my point. You never know if someone's having real problems with their kids, if they're having real problems financially, if all that lovely stuff that they've got is mortgaged to the hilt. I was at somebody's house one time and they were drunk. And it turns out that this person got drunk as I have ever seen anybody every Friday night and stayed that way until Sunday. And Sunday night he sobered up and went into work on Monday and made a ton of money Monday through Friday and then did it again. I don't know why he did that. I think because he really hated his job that made him a ton of money. But he had a beautiful house and he had a lovely wife and he had wonderful children. And he was so miserable that he was really blind drunk for about a third of his life. So there's somebody that if you had just looked from the outside, you'd be envious of. But if you looked a little closer, you certainly wouldn't change places with him, I wouldn't think. You can't tell by anybody's external material goods how happy they are, how good their life is. I've met two people that have made $1 billion. Both of them started with not $1 billion, very far from it. And the first one, I knew it because the person who was going to introduce me told me two or three times before we were introduced, he's worth over $1 billion. And the hour I spent with the gentleman, he must have told me 4 times that he was worth $1 billion. And by God, everybody ought to listen to him because he was so smart. And maybe he was happy if he showed his happiness by being a grumpy old guy who complained all the time that nobody listened to him and didn't appreciate him. But he sure didn't seem very happy to me. The other person I met, I kind of knew because I knew who he was, but the person who introduced us, we were all really interested in some software project that we were working on from different angles. And we were talking about the work that I had been doing, the work this person had been doing, the work the other person had been doing. And it was very fascinating and had a really good conversation and enjoyed myself very much. And it wasn't until about 45 minutes later when I was gone and having a beer with somebody and talked about, oh yeah, I was talking to so and so. God, he's a smart guy. I really enjoyed that. And we realized, yeah, this guy could probably afford to buy all my kids. It's not how much money you have. It's not how famous you are. No matter what, the things that make people happy are generally that they have good health, that somebody loves them, that they're respected by people whose opinion they care about. So usually you don't know those things on the outside. Another example, taking away from money, is international elite athletes, of whom I have known a great many, of whom I used to be one. And what that shows is you're being envious of somebody at a single point in time because, funny enough, for some bizarre reason, when I was like 10 years old and I had nothing else to do, I read in the library this series of books, Where Are They Now? And they looked at people who, for example, were Olympic athletes or people who were famous film stars. And there isn't a really big correlation between success at one point in life and success at another point. So some of the people who were Olympic gold medalists went on to be very successful people in business. Others got married, were housewives, and seemed to be quite happy about it. And still others got into drugs and died penniless and alone. So you may be envious of somebody right now, but any sports journalist can tell you that they have covered people's signing contracts for millions of dollars and covered the same people 5 or 10 years later in bankruptcy. So, yeah, today that person may have a better life than you, but 10 years from now you may have a better life than them. So, what are you jealous about? That you didn't have a better life every single second of forever? Seems a little odd. The other thing that makes envy really stupid is it can make you act like a jerk. I was on Facebook and somebody posted about a young woman who was on a football team. She was the kicker and her team had made their state championships. And someone posted on Facebook, well, I can't wait till she gets knocked down and hit and sees what it's like to really be hit. And I wrote back, why would you say that? This is a young girl in high school, and you want her to get knocked down and injured. And I have to say that the young men who were on her football team were adorable. And one of them said, yeah, people make fun of us because we have girls on our football team, but you know what? We're the defensive line, and we got her back, and it's our job to make sure they don't get through. Now, there's a nice young man. But to get back to the idiot who posted that thing on Facebook, why would you do that? Why do you, a grown man in your 40s, say, I hope this girl gets hurt? Does that make you tougher? I was at a school the other day and there's a brilliant sign that said tearing others down and making them smaller doesn't make you any bigger. And when people do that, it's almost always because they feel envious. So think about it. Look at that in yourself and don't be a jerk. Make the world a smarter place. Go to www.sevengenerationgames.com, download a game to play for yourself, for a child you like, or donate one to a school.